who rocks mics and rocks them well, yo.
It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz.
All right, welcome back to The Biz. I have no guests this week, but this is the update to the last video where I talked about the Boston Foundation Music Grant. I want to thank Eva for taking the time to talk to me over at the foundation. I don't know if they wanted to talk to me per my last video I posted, because when I did get rejected, I did send an email that I said, I really would like to know why this happens just every year. I never even make it to the second round. And then I did the video, and after the video was posted, I got an email back saying, we would love to talk to you. So me and Eva set up a time to talk. We did it just over the phone. But, you know, she was very pleasant to talk to. And she asked me, like, you know, what's like my frustrations with it. And I explained that, you know, I've been playing music in this city for a very, very long time. And I feel like I've done all the right things. And I've like, you know, I feel like I've done my homework in terms of like looking at past recipients and seeing what they did or like what was funded for a project. And, you know, I felt that I was not given a fair shot, and I don't really know exactly why. And I told them that for me, it feels like the reason I am not given a chance is because I am Hispanic playing rock punk music, and that doesn't align with maybe typically what someone of Hispanic descent would be doing music wise, which to me seems silly. But you know, if I said that it felt like if I was trying to play like flamenco songs from my country, that would align better. And I said that's really frustrating because that's not who I am and that's not what I do. And, you know, if they're trying to have all people represented in this grant, in this foundation, then it would make sense for me to be included in something like that. And, you know, not even me, but I'm not seeing other people included in that, getting the grant, who are in this scene. And Eva said, you know, that they completely understand that they maybe are not consciously making those decisions, and they could be doing a better job of it. She explained to me the different rounds of how it goes through. Like, the reviewers leave comments on the projects that they see and what they review. And then upon that, then it goes to the foundation, and then they can see upon the reviews and the scores they give how to proceed and who gets picked there. And she did say that probably they're not taking into account that, you know, maybe something it's not a crazy outside the realm project, but like something as simple as like a band playing rock, that there isn't a lot of representation in that scene. And maybe they're just looking at it from the sense of like, you know, rock music or something, whatever you want to call it, is like maybe more of a mainstream thing, and it does get a lot of attention. So they were just not thinking about it that way, in the sense of that within that scene there are groups not getting attention because of, I don't know, just like race or whatever. There's so many factors in that. She said that when, you know, the first year that they did the foundation, they did not get a lot of people of color applying for this, and they wanted to do a better job. So the next year they kind of like reached out to a lot of local hip hop artists, emerging artists who haven't really done a lot but could use an opportunity. And they said as soon as we did that, the floodgates opened, where we got a lot of hip hop artists, a applying to this and being able to, get this grant. And every year since, it's been a lot. And I said, exactly. I mean, you gave it to one, they told everybody about it, and everybody applied. And she said, exactly, it's great. They're like, that's exactly what we wanted. I said, well, I've applied for this thing maybe like 5 years in a row. And I look at the recipients, I don't even know any of them. I didn't tell anyone to apply to this. And if I did, I would say, well, there is a Boston grant. You can spend a lot of time on your application, submit it. You probably won't get it because none of us get it in our world. And she said, I understand that. It's like, it sucks that we get to this point where, like, when we get feedback from our applications is when people get really frustrated to the point where they're just like, who fucking cares anymore? And I said, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I want to know if I can never get this grant, then I just want to know. I don't want to waste my time anymore. It's too upsetting. And I said, in a year that we had the pandemic and, Rebuilder, between me and Daniel working in the music business, I was like, we completely lost our jobs. We lost our ability to play music, but we lost our jobs, which is in the music business. I was like, so I think being involved in the music scene that much, like, how is it that we don't get it? She explained to me that they don't really look at history. Like, it plays an importance, like, sure, at some point, probably more in the next rounds, but really in the first rounds, they're just looking at the project. They're literally just looking at the project. She's like, probably when the people that are reviewing this don't even know who you are. They don't know what you guys have done as a band. So they're just looking at the projects and basing it on that. So she said she could go back and look at what people said about my application. And obviously she can't tell me who they are, but we can have another conversation and we can have another meeting where she tells me specifically what she had found in the applications. And maybe that will help me so that next time I can apply, I correct those things. Or if the feedback from it is very obvious that, like, I will never get a chance at this, then I just never apply ever again. And I'm glad that she was willing to have this conversation and willing to do that and have a next conversation. Because I even said that within rock music, within punk in this city, in Boston, I haven't, now I'm seeing more diversity in the music scene. More than I saw growing up. Growing up around here, there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was great bands, and I love the music, but I didn't see a lot of diversity in the music scene. It wasn't until I was touring where I went to New Mexico, and at the show in New Mexico, there was so many Hispanic punks, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I've never seen this before. This is, it blew my mind. And at that point, I was like, probably like 19 or 20 years old. So I explained to her, I was like, I'm in my 30s. There's a generation of kids way younger than I am in this city who are playing, under the punk or rock genre. A lot of playing music, and like the scenes are so much more diverse now. And there's there's sub pockets in this scene that have a lot of diversity and a lot of, inclusion. I was like, but I'm not even seeing them get it. And I was like, if I saw those bands get it, I would kind of understand and be like, all right, like maybe I'm just like, I'm too fucking old. I'm not as, with it as these younger kids in these other scenes. But I was like, but I'm not seeing those people get it either. So that makes it hard. And she said, well, she's like, I'll tell you right now, those bands are not applying at all. We don't get a lot of those younger kids applying to this foundation almost ever. And I said, right. And I thought that. And I think that just proves more my point that if those bands aren't getting it, then me applying should almost be more of a shoo-in. To me, it seems like it, because there's not a lot of competition. There's like, I don't see that the list comes out and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people of color rock bands on that list. So like, it was their time. It was their turn. So to me, I was like, I just thought like, that I would be a shoo-in to get this thing if not those bands are getting it. And I said I would probably expect a lot of the reviewers that you haven't been to shows that we've played. They haven't been to O'Brien's. They probably haven't been to, Charlie's to see a show, or Hong Kong within these circles that we play. Maybe they've been to Sinclair, but for different shows. They've definitely been to House of Blues shows. I don't know where they're looking. So I said that, if it was my writing, if I'm not a strong writer, I can't write really well. You can look at my resume and me applying for jobs and you'll be like, this kid will never get a job, because my resume just sucks. I'm not a strong writer. I'm very straight to the point and I hate fluffing shit. So I was like, I'm not a strong writer. I take the time on it to write. I asked for help writing this grant. But, some of the people I asked help for weren't available. So I just sat and did it and explained it in my own words and how I did it. And I said, if it's because I suck as a writer and they said, we don't understand the project enough for this, then I can understand that. But I felt that I did a pretty good job on this. And I just think that I've applied so many times that it sucks to see, and I'm frustrated about it. She completely understood. She thinks that they could probably do a better job of looking at bands in the city in our genre who are doing something cool or have a project that needs funding, and give them an opportunity and a voice as well. So much so that she asked if I would be interested in working with them more and maybe helping them find other acts or helping review things to kind of try to fix these problems in the bigger picture, which I really appreciated, because I didn't go into this thinking I was going to get this grant. I know a lot of people were confused by that. People sent me messages saying, I hope you get it. And I was like, no, that's not what is going on here. It's already been distributed. They've already picked who they want to give this to. I've never gotten it. That is why I want to talk about this. So for me, having this conversation was never about trying to get in this year and getting the grant. I just wanted to know why. And I appreciated that they took ownership on saying that they're probably turning an eye to what we're doing and other bands in the city are doing, especially people of color in the city are doing in our scene, because they just don't realize it. And they're like, we need to realize it. We could do a better job of this. And you're more connected in that world than we are. Would you like to help us out in that? I think if I said no, then why the fuck am I even having this conversation with them? I want this to be better. I want so that the bands that I go see and the bands that we play with and the bands that we're friends with take the time to apply to this and be like, because you might get it. You might get it. You might get funding to do something really fucking cool. Where I am now at is, I don't know if I can tell someone to apply for this, because I don't know still why specifically I was rejected from my application. The only thing I can think of is that for them, maybe the project seems too boring. The idea of just making a record and doing a live stream to them is like, what is that doing for the community? Maybe. I don't know. I know in my application I said that it cost us a lot of money to do this first one. We had to charge tickets to see it. I said, we would want to do another show, but people probably don't feel safe going out yet. And if the time comes where it is safe to do a real show, then we'll just do a real show. But we could still even just do a live stream where everyone can maybe feel safe watching from home and they don't have to pay anything. It's free. And the production will be high quality where it sounds and looks very good, but it's free and anybody can watch. And we'll play a whole bunch of new songs off of our new record. Maybe we can use the money to finish the new record. And, you know, maybe we can do something with mental health, because a lot of what I sing about is just, it's what I know. And I sing about my mental health and the struggle with that. For me, that's seems important to the community. But if I'm not articulating that in my applications, then I can understand that, because I saw other things were funded along the same lines. And I think some of the things I see funded aren't this big extravagant thing and they're trying to change the course of music history. It seems to me very standard things. So with that, I agreed to have another conversation with them where we look specifically at the comments that was left on my application. And I agreed to help them with being more inclusive with our music scene, which is more the punk and rock world, because there's a lot of things going on in there that I think are important. I think other people can see as important too and feel like they have a shot at that. So I don't know what this means other than maybe their selection for next time includes maybe myself or other bands that could benefit from this that are in the same ballpark as we are. But again, I think it was really cool of them to actually have the conversation, own ownership on that. They probably are not paying enough attention to what someone like me is doing in this city. So much so that, you know, I did say it's a great thing that we even have this grant available. And Eva said, right, but it's not enough, because someone like you should be able to live in this city and make a living making your music and have all these other means of funding, but it just doesn't exist in this city. And I completely agree with that. I think I look at Canada and I see that there's things available and their system isn't perfect either. But there's just a lot more available. I think that's why it's easy to get frustrated when you get rejected for these, because it's not like there's a whole bunch of other ones I can apply for. So that's the update on that. Thanks for watching The Biz. I'll have a guest soon enough. And if you want to be if you are a viewer of The Biz and you want to be on a quick office hours and ask me a question, the last one went really well and it was a lot of fun to do. So stay tuned. I'll let everyone know about the next meeting and how that's going. But it feels like I made some difference for maybe the next person, and I guess that's pretty important too. Thank you for checking out this episode of The Biz. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe on wherever you listen and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. You can follow The Biz on Instagram at Sal Ellington. You can buy merch at thebizbaby.square.site. If you'd like to donate to The Biz on Venmo, it's at Sal Ellington. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next episode.